welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming up to our Lansdown Club breakfast for announcement of the Bristol City 24-25 fixtures. Just like to welcome our top table guests, Liam Manning, head coach of Bristol City, Brian Tinnion, technical director of Bristol City. Liam, Brian, I'm sure you've had a little bit of a break, probably not too much, given pre-season is just about to start tomorrow with the players. And obviously transfer window is underway. Hopefully you will all seen the fixtures by now. So we'll come on to pre-season, but I think we should get straight into what really counts, and that is who we are playing. So we've got fixtures on the screen. So Hull City away, first day of the season, 12:30 kickoff live on Sky Sports. Liam, that's a tough away game to start with. Hull just finished outside the playoffs. They've got a new manager. What are your thoughts?
I think you've probably been bored of my media last year. Every game's so difficult. I genuinely believe that in this division, it's one of the hardest divisions in the world. Every game's so difficult. And it's a big bit we're going to frame with the lads. You have to see every game as a cup final for me. And that's no different for the first game to the 15th to the 46th game. So it's a tough game, obviously. The investment they've put in, if you look, I think that's ultimately probably why Liam ended up moving on. They had a big go in January, it felt, with they brought in Zaruri from Burnley, they brought in Carvalho from Liverpool, the left back. So they had a bit of a go in the January. So I think they'll do the same this summer, and it'll be an extremely difficult game. But at the same point, it'd be nice for us to have a pre-season, to have 6 weeks where we can get some work into the lads, which you join middle of the season, it's quite difficult to transition and get some of your principles in. So you're kind of learning as you go. So it's good to have the 6-week pre-season and obviously open with a game where you want to test yourselves against everybody.
Millwall, Coventry City at home, and then newly promoted Derby County and Blackburn Rovers. When you come to those home games, we had a sellout for the Preston match last August. How excited will you and the staff and the players be for that home match? Yeah,
can't wait. I think in terms of energy, atmosphere, what we want to create there, I think, is the big bit. Hopefully, obviously, we'll have some new faces as well in the squad, as well as being able to retain some of the ones that we did last year as well. So I think in terms of hopefully we got off a good start away at Hull, and then can come home and turn into a bit of a fortress. I think that's the big bit. Find a level of consistency at home and make it a really difficult place to come. That's ultimately what we want to try and achieve.
Let's look at some of those fixtures. So Coventry City finished, trailed off in the Championship, but had a great cup run. Mark Robbins been there forever, really, really well established, and they've signed 4 or 5 players this close season. How tough a match will the Coventry game be?
Yeah, I keep saying a bit like all of them. I think when you look at the golf and the difference, you see it last season. From the top to the bottom is not huge, I don't think. But when you look at it, I think there's some really good coaching going on, and obviously Mark's done a fantastic job there with having I think is a really good example of a club being a little bit patient, giving somebody some time to to build something. I think that's the important bit that we're going to try and do here. So it's another tough one, but again, one that at home, back-to-back home games, I think is always a nice thing as well.
Derby County, back in the Championship after a season in League One. When you're facing a team who are coming up and they finished second in League One, what kind of challenge is that when you're facing a team who have got some momentum?
Yeah, I think it depends how they start as well, right? I think they'll have had a few games before that, so I think they'll have a few players that will have played at the level, so we'll understand what it looks like. But as with always, I think my energy always goes into us. I can't control the opposition, what they do, their momentum, it always goes into us, and making sure that we're best prepared, that we've done the work that we need to, that we're in a good headspace going into the game. So they'll bring different challenges, I'm sure, knowing Morney quite well to some of the other sides, but always be about us.
I know you won't want to dwell beyond that first game, but 7-side derbies. Brian, you will have played in a couple. So that first one, October the 5th at home, and then away on February the 15th. For the fans and for the players, you were one. What does playing Cardiff City mean?
Yeah, it's always a big game. They don't like us, we don't like them. We want to beat them. It's a big game for the club, and we know that. So yeah, always tough, but we know what it means to fans. We know we'll have a lot of fans at their place. They'll have a lot here. So yeah, big games for us.
You got a favourite 7-side derby memory yourself?
One season I scored in both games. I scored a penalty at theirs and a penalty at ours, and beat them twice. So that's probably the best bit. But
and obviously after last season, results didn't go that well for us.
Yeah.
We'll be looking to
Yeah.
get one back on them. Okay, so first 5 and then 7-side derbies. Talk a bit about festive fixtures. So 4 games, I think, in 12 days. West Brom away, and then home games against Luton and Portsmouth, and then away at Plymouth Argyle on
Big
the
games,
New Year's Day. I'm going to bring in a special guest now, Wayne Allison. Wayne, come and join us. Yeah, please, yeah.
Well, you can move, Chief. You're not playing anymore, you can't move.
Wayne Allison, the Chief, 195 games between 1990 and 95, 48 goals, not bad return. Welcome back, Wayne.
Thank you.
When you were a player back in the day, I'm sure travel wasn't quite as smooth as it is now, but over that festive period, did you have to refrain from the Pinkstead blankets and the turkey?
Of course, I'm going to say that, aren't I? So yeah, we did, and we tried to look after ourselves the best we could. The sports science now has been absolutely fantastic. We never really had any of that when we were there. The canteens or anything like that we didn't have. So we had to try and look after ourselves and do our best.
I should have actually say you're Dr. Wayne Allison, because you've got a doctorate, a PhD from Sheffield.
Yes.
What's that to do with? Is it to do with, well, you tell me.
Sports science and coaching. So basically, just having a look how the body responds to exercise and things like that. So yeah.
And what's changed over the two or so decades since you played in terms of sports science and management of players?
It's immense. The change has been I want to say, everyone attributes that to when Arsene Wenger came in and things like that. But we're on the cusp of that anyway, the back end of the 90s. But it's that where nutrition has really come in, how people train and how the intensity of games have shot up. The look of professional players now look different to how they were then. So it's the whole game has evolved, and it's evolved in a really, really positive way.
Wayne, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Wayne, good. I know it's a long way off, Liam, but let's cast ourselves forward to next April and May with our final 5 fixtures. Did you know we hadn't played at home on the final day of the season since 2018?
Yeah, you told me this morning. I didn't realise that.
You don't know.
So yeah, phenomenal to be fair. Mad how they organise it.
Does it make? Obviously, we want to be. It's going to be an exciting end of the season, hopefully for the right reasons. Does it make a massive difference playing at home on the final day?
Yeah, of course. Huge that with like I keep talking about, the atmosphere and the energy, and yeah, having everybody behind you going into something hopefully with something to play for in the last game's massive. So yeah, that's the aim. You do so much work to get to that stage, and every year it happens. You get into the final 5 and still things aren't decided. So you do so much work to get there. That's the final bit. Can you get it over the line? And like I said, I'm delighted that we've got a final home game.
And an exciting Easter, Good Friday, Sunderland at home. They'll bring a lot of fans, so hoping for a sellout. And then away games at Luton Town and Leeds United. Obviously just missed out on promotion. 2 tough away games before that.
We had a good
game.
Easter this year, right? We had a decent Easter this year, so I think you go through the whole list, and I don't look at any of those and go they're easy. I think that's the big bit, and for me, I think in terms of it, it's like I keep talking about, it's our lads. I can't control anything in the opposition. I look at the games and they're all challenges. They're all difficult. Let's make sure that we're ready to do everything. And it's momentum for me. I think you lose a game, how do you respond? We win a game, how do you stay grounded? If you do back to back in both, it's how do you continue that? And I think that the big bit is about how you go on runs. How do you put a collective, string of results together, which is what you have to work hard to do. So we'll do a lot of work with the lads this pre-season about staying quite consistent, quite level, so that if we lose, the world's not ended. And it's got to hurt, of course, and we've got to be angry on the Saturday. Then you have to get ready to go again Monday. You can't carry that hangover. The same as if we win Saturday and we're great. You come in on Monday, right back to it. We haven't cracked it. We haven't achieved anything. And it's a relentless season, which, like I said, Easter being a big part of it. And I think it was when we came in December, January, February this year, we had a game every 3.8 days. So yeah, it's a relentless year where you don't actually train a huge amount. a lot of it's just about maintaining, staying fit, keeping people available, ticking over, so that we've got as many available for heavy periods like Easter.
How do you instill that consistency? Because I would imagine with more experienced players, it's a lot easier because they've played a lot of games and they've seen the highs and the lows. With younger players, I would imagine the emotions of winning or losing are quite extreme.
Yeah, it can be. I think that's why we did it last season. The final 8 games, we went, right, it's a mini-season for us. So we chunked it up, and I don't see it as a new season. I see it as an extension of last season. The journey we're going on, it's not season finished, start a new one. It's we're actually building for something. So carry the experiences, the tough block that everybody knows we had, and then obviously the really strong block we had over Easter and towards the end of the season. And it's using those experiences to reference. And again, I think it all starts with awareness. Same as you get older, right? You become wiser, you become more aware of, you know, your body language, your behaviours, your emotions. That's what we try to put in the lads, and it's difficult. It's such an emotive game. There's so much pressure. Everybody wants to win. Everybody's desperate to do well. Everybody's, you know, desperate to achieve something here. But it's then going, right, that's great, but that can also block in terms of staying focused and doing what we need to. So we push really hard to try and keep it in an even keel. And if you do step above, no problem. But awareness helps you bring it back down a little bit quicker. So we work hard on the psychology of it.
5 pre-season games to come. 45 days until that first match. And we've got that Willem 2 game on August the 3rd at Ashton Gate. How do you approach pre-season games? Do you put much store by them? How important is it for, say, when we get new players in? When? So talk us about that pre-season programme.
Pre-season programme. You miss pre-season?
No.
The players, tell us, the players are back in. The players are back in tomorrow. Yeah. What will their program look like?
Well, they got their program, so I'm obsessed on planning. So every single session, and we change them. We planned every session by the end of last season. So we periodise it without getting too heavy in it. We'll tactically work on different phases of the game every week, and then we'll align some of the physical running with it as well. So that's all planned out. The same as the players come back in incredible shape now, don't they? They've already been in some of them. We run optional sessions for 2 weeks. They all get an individual program. They all know that there's certain markers that they have to hit if they want to do the full training session, or if they don't hit them, there might be extras. There might be, so they're so finely tuned now that they have to be. So we put a lot of trust in them, which I think is important for how I work. I think giving them accountability as well to make sure that they're in the best condition possible. And then it's a combination. Balls will be out on Monday, so they're testing. So Thursday, Friday they'll do testing. So sports science and the medical can have them for 2 days to basically find out where they're at. And then we'll do 2 weeks.
How tough is that for them?
Yeah, there's a few dread in it. We do a run called the Bronco, which...
The Bronco?
Yeah.
All right, tell us about the Bronco.
You'll have to get the guys in there. It's run as hard as you can until you can't run anymore, basically.
Does that replace the bleep and then the yo-yo test?
Yeah, it's changed a lot since then, yeah. So they'll do that. They'll do a lot around agility, so screening in terms of, you know, lunges, their range of movements, that type of stuff, as well as the running bits. They'll do body fat, so staff not included in that one, I have to say. That was definitely not added. Just to know where they're at, basically, because what the whole thing is, can we get to first league game, can we get to Hull with as many in the best shape possible, but as many available? And of course, there might be a few injuries along the way, which is what we want to try and prevent. So hence the screening, the testing is all to find out where they're at, so you know what level of risk they are. And then we beast them. Pretty much, we go really hard, we push them really hard. I think as you know, with players, I think if you have a really solid pre-season, it does set you up for the year. If you have a bit part pre-season, you sometimes you can pay the price, you can catch up for it, you can carry a hangover. So we go really hard. We're fortunate we're going off to Portugal for a week for a training camp, and then first game will be 3 weeks into pre-season. So we go really hard on the principles of play and how we want to play.
Talk to us about going on tour and what that looks like. Is it as much about bonding and getting the team together and understanding each other off the pitch as well as what you might do on the training field? Yeah,
definitely. And I'm sure Brian will go into it in a minute, but hopefully we'll have some new faces in so you can accelerate the relationship, accelerate the culture. My wife thinks it's a jolly up, but it's definitely not. I can tell you that. We'll be 3-4 sessions a day. So we'll train early in the morning, we'll train in the afternoon, they'll have gym in the afternoon, we do a lot of video work, so we'll do presentations in the evening. There's a huge amount of work that goes into planning it, but then also executing it. I'm also massive on winning, so the whole week's competitive. So the players will be split in teams, and every activity or certain activities will be targeted where there's points for the winning team. So again, you practice winning every day, which I think is another part of it, that I like competition. I know the lads, when I used to work with 8-year-olds, you make it competitive, you get a response. You do it with 30-year-olds, you get the same response. And that, I think sometimes we go so hard on tactics, we forget actually go and play and try and win. I think there's a big element of that as well. So that week will be uber competitive, and there'll be a forfeit for the losing team at the end.
Someone who's uber competitive is Joe Williams. Brian, you've signed him up for another 3 years.
Yeah.
He brings energy, he brings fight, he brings a bit of humour as well. How important is it to have Joe for the next 3 years?
Really pleased. Joe had options in the championship to go to, but he enjoyed the end of the season. I think he played probably his best football here. Liam was really keen that he stayed, so yeah, and Joe went and spoke to the other clubs, but came back and said, I think this is the best place for him. So really pleased that Joe's here and part of the squad.
And one of our brightest prospects, Elijah Morrison, again, 3-year contract.
Yeah.
How excited should we be about Elijah?
Yeah, very good. He went away with England, and the report back was very good, very encouraging. He's going to go in with Liam in pre-season and stay there, stay with the first team. He's got real pace and power, and he's a really exciting one for us that we think could make a real impact here.
Max Bird, Josh Stokes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you signed them in January. They went away to Derby County and Aldershot. But you've got them back. Liam, looking forward to having them back in the mix?
Yeah, definitely. Josh was one that with the programme, he'd come in and train with us once every sort of 2 weeks for the last sort of back end of the season anyway, just to try and integrate him, to get relationships up to speed. For him to transition is a big step up in training methods, intensity, the levels. So I have to say he was really impressive, wasn't he, in the sessions that we saw. So that, and then Max, when you look at Max, is someone with a terrific brain. Something that we've obviously targeted, and the club has done a really good job of. Someone that's still young but played a huge number of games. What's he at now, a couple hundred?
240 games.
240 games, which at 22, 23 is, it's exciting that he's still got potential and room to grow and bits to work on. But at the same point, it's hugely experienced as well. So I think what it allows us to do is continue building as a team and improving. And the staff do a great job of the coaching that they do, and the strength and conditioning and all the work around it that they need to hit their maximum potential so they can turn up and deliver every week. So Max, off the back of winning promotion as well, is also something which again I think helps us. Having winners in the building I think is really important as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working with him.
Transfer window is still going. I think it finishes the day before we play Derby County. It's a long way to go. Brian, in this current financial climate and demand for players, how tricky is the transfer window to navigate? I'm not going to ask you exactly how you're getting on.
It's easy, Dave. It's easy. Yeah, it's difficult. But I think we said it before, we're looking more at the European market now because we think there's value there for us. We were really close last Friday to getting a striker, and he chose a team in Germany. So it just shows when you go for the foreign ones, I think and the quality we're looking at, I think the teams that you're competing against becomes harder. We had a better day yesterday, where we look like we've got 2 that are done, which is getting finalised today. So we're really pleased about that, because there's been a lot of work from January on really to the targets that we're looking for. We know what we're looking for. It's in the forward areas. We were probably 4th best defence.
4th least goals conceded last year.
19th goals, 4. So we will be looking to 4 attacking players. I think we'll be really, really happy if we get them. 2, I think, are done. So then we'll move on to the next 2.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us this morning as well. Talk about some other young players. So, Jamie Knight-LaBelle, Ephraim, Seb, all gone on loan, Dundee, various other clubs. For those young players who were kind of in the squad or around about last season, how important will those loan experiences be for them?
Yeah, really good. We spoke about Seb a lot. Did we keep Seb in? Did we have him around the squad? But then the players we're going to bring in, it was then how much game time would Seb get. So would 1 more year on loan with another 30, 40 games, Scottish Premier League, playing against Celtic and Rangers. Will that be better for Seb? And we thought it would be. So he's going to go there and have a great experience, great lad, made great strides at Newport last year. Really impressive. The feedback from Newport was very good. Ephraim had his time, had some game time in the Championship, went to Bath. Doncaster were really aggressive in wanting him. So we thought, again, at 17, he's still 17. to go to League Two and get some games, get the experience of winning and playing in the league team. So it'll be good for him. And then Jamie, who again spent a lot of time with Liam, training with the first team, had a few appearances, but improved a lot training with the first team, but now needs the games, needs to play against some big physical horrible forwards like him, who'll bash him about and make him. Yeah, so Jamie's the nicest lad ever. He's educated, he's a brilliant, really good footballer, but he's really nice. So we want him to go and get beat up a bit, to be honest. Get a few cuts, he's too nice. He's a lovely looking lad. We want his nose across there. But yeah, great prospect.
I'm sure Crew Alexander will keep him very grounded.
Yeah, he's a good club. Good club.
Good. What I was going to ask was whether there's any questions from the floor. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a question and I'll repeat it so we can get it from the mic.
You mentioned earlier about getting the players up to like an FA Cup final event every game. How do you, from week to week, sort of do that individually or collectively to try and get them to that sort of to think that way?
Yeah,
I'm going to repeat the question just for the camera. So that was really about getting players up for every game, be it Championship or be an FA Cup.
Yeah, I think it's the culture you create every day. I think that's the biggest bit. I think in terms of, I don't think you can turn it on and off. So again, I think if you ever to come and watch the lads train, even in the final week last season, the intensity they train at, the competitiveness in training, I think that going through exactly the same processes, the detail that we go into, the hours that we commit to it. Like the guys will be a 7 till 7 every day, the staff, in terms of the volume we spend of watching the opposition, dissecting us. And it is individual and team for me. I think it's knowing which ones I need to give a kick up the backside to, which ones need an arm around them, which ones do I just leave alone because actually they're in a good spot. And that's the skill of it. And that's the bit where numerous conversation of it. You don't switch off, go home, you're thinking about it, you're talking about it. It's just relentless in terms of obsessed by being successful.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions? Gentlemen.
You said you've got 4 people lined up this season. Who actually makes that decision? Then who are going to sign these 4 players?
It's a question of who makes the decisions. Gentlemen talked about the 4 signings. Who makes the final decision, I suppose, on those?
We have a profile of what we want in each position, what fits us. We all sit in a room. There's not 1, there's not 2, there's 6, 7 people. Hoggy, the assistant manager, all the recruitment team. We'll get the players up. These are the players available. They fit our profile. He'll make the final decision. He's got to coach him every day. He's got to stand in front of the dugout at Ashton Gate with 25,000, moaning their arse off. He has to pick the players. Yeah. So that's simple. We sit around, we're very open. There's no egos. There's no I'll make the decision. He will have the final decision.
It's pretty clear. Any other questions? Brian, back to the loan. I wanted to ask you, so you look at Max O'Leary, Zach Viner, Cameron Pring. So for a long time, they went out on loan, had really formative experiences, and now established, you probably put those 3 on the first team sheet last season. When you're looking at experiences for Seb and the other guys, Ephraim, etc., how much does that kind of sort of, I suppose, experience and memory of what Max and Zach and Cam, for example, went through? Yeah,
very much. And we get our scouting team will go and watch them, and they'll mark them as if they're the Cruise player or the Dundee's player, and would we sign them? So they're getting judged every game they play. So somebody from the football club will watch every game, and they'll do a report on them to whether we would sign them if they weren't our player.
And Liam, how do you decide when they're ready to come back? Because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah,
and of course I think it depends what we've got currently. And they're the discussions. We talk about the recruitment. It's the same as the players going out. There's constant discussions. Seb, what's going to allow Seb to get to his maximum level? And some of it might be a training with us with it, or is it being a third choice and getting minutes here and there, or actually going and getting a 40, 50 game season, which is better, which is going to allow him to get closer to what we want and finding out. So it's definitely, they're all different. I think that's the biggest bit for me. Some might need a loan, some might actually, at the minute Elijah's going to get the stretch, I think, staying with us. Whereas, Jamie's already had that, and you get to a stage where Jamie actually now needs the games. So again, I think it all happens at different times. It's difficult to go, that's the the moment. I think it's finding out. So obviously it was great to give Elijah his debut and some minutes last year and see how he responds to that, and especially it being such an integral part and philosophy of the club, which is really important to me as well. So it's finding out, I think, is the biggest bit, and not being afraid to do it, being brave enough to go, right, let's have a look, let's see.
And the good thing next pre-season, them three will come back and they'll start the pre-season in the first team. And let's see how they've developed. Have they done enough to stay in next year? And we're hoping they are. We're hoping they will.
And it's levels for Seb. You go from Newport, Dundee's another step, which is closer to where we are. Sometimes to have a really big jump, not saying you could never do it, but actually we'll find out more about Seb with that loan because of the level than sometimes just staying in training.
Just on Ephraim, so I remember chatting to him when he made his debut at Ashton Gate and how excited he was about playing in front of that crowd. So we're nearly at 14,000 season tickets. How important, Liam, are the fans? And I'd see you at the end of games, give you the big one. That connection between the players and the Robins fans, how important is that?
Yeah, huge. I think it's something we have to work hard on. We have to improve. I think especially knowing that I look at that and I know we're going to win, I know we're going to lose, and I know we're going to draw games. I think it's that bit in the rightly so, the lads step on the pitch, and the bare minimum we have to turn up, we have to run, we have to fight, we have to compete, we have to give everything. Does that mean we're going to get it right and play well every time? No. And that's the bits where, again, I think in terms of the fans, enjoying the good moments, but sometimes dragging the lads through the difficult ones. I think that's the bit where, we will have bad days. It's actually everybody has the same goal, players, staff, fans. Let's stick together. Let's really drive it. Let's really push, trying to achieve something special.
Highest finish of 5 years last season. I'm not going to ask you where we're going to finish, but I want to ask you is how positive and how encourage you about this next season, which will be your first full season at the helm.
Yeah, can't wait to get going. Not that I've stopped, to be totally honest. We've probably spoken every day for 3 or 4 times a day. It's relentless in terms of, it's probably different. Some of the other staff, the season finishes and they can have their holidays. We just go straight into, right, let's get ready for next season. Let's work on the recruitment. Let's pester agents. Let's blah, blah, blah. So again, I think that pre-season is really important for how we work in terms of being able to coach, being able to get, like I say, you only watch the Euros at the minute, how organised teams are. That's not by luck. There's some top coaching, there's some really good organisation in players, and I thought that in last year in the Championship, there's been a shift in style in the Championship, which we've done some work on recently, so there has been a change, and being able to work with the players. You probably saw we did a lot of defensive work last year, which for me are the foundations. You're in games. If you're hard to beat, you'll be competitive. Then it's about how do we now get better with the ball? How do we keep that and revisit the defensive work, but also add the attacking stuff? So that we can do in pre-season, and then like I said, there was some really good special moments, and there were some challenging moments last season, and we're going to work really hard to create more of the special, memories and moments.
Brilliant. Any other questions? Gentleman back.
You just touched on the Euros there, having just got back from Germany myself to watch England.
At the throat.
Horrendous. You German beers myself. I just wondered, how much of the Euros you've been watching, and if there's any specific learnings from any of the teams tactically that
So gentleman at the back's lost his voice from shouting at the Euros.
German beer, I think it was.
And German beer. Wanted to know any learnings from watching the Euros?
Yeah, I've watched a decent amount, to be fair. I think it's been difficult because we've been back in, so I've not been able to probably watch as much as I'd like. I think you look at it, you watched the game last night, the perception is England should easily go and win, but it was the same as Arsenal in the Champions League. A team gets 10 behind, 11 behind the ball. It's so difficult and to break down. The perception is it should be easy, but it's so difficult, really difficult to do. I've watched a lot of that. I think some of it's been tough to watch because of that. I think the excitement, teams opening up, the attacking side, which is what we probably love about football, that sometimes goes for you, goes against you if you open up. It's been really uber disciplined, I think, a lot of the teams. Actually, it's Spain, the one that I've really found interesting, just how much more they're crossing the ball. The Spain of old in terms of being patient and working it in and around the penalty box are actually crossing the ball a lot more, which is completely different, I think, for games in general, but also for them at the minute. So that's definitely some of the things that we've been looking at.
Great. Gentleman at the back?
Yeah, just going back to the youth players, there was a stat come out recently about the England players who were all developed from kind of 9, 10, and who were down starting in the first 11. we seem to be bucking the trend slightly with that. Players would come in slightly later in the season, things like that. So is that a calculated approach from the club? Is it what kind of highlighted the difference there?
I think everybody develops at different times.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that. They think if you're not in from 9 years of age, you're not going to be a footballer.
Yeah.
Elijah Morrison was 15.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex Scott at 16. Pringy was playing at the college team at 17. You know, Antoine was playing at the college team at 17. So we're pretty good at that. We look at the ones who maybe not ready at 14, 15, but 16, they develop quicker and they're good to go professional. So, and there's a bit more hunger, I think. I think sometimes you get an academy at 9, you're getting picked up, you're getting dropped off, you're getting your kit, you're getting, I won't say it, but I think they get mollycoddled, they get everything done from 9 years of age all the way through. And then you come in at 15, you've been at Bristol in the city, you've been at local clubs where you've had to fight and you've had to, and I see a little bit of different attitude and a different mentality and a drive where they're coming in, they're thinking they've won the pools to come here. And I think sometimes it gets a little bit, from 9 years of age, it gets a little bit where they've got everything. Yeah. I think it's too early.
Question?
Yeah, you mentioned signing 2 strikers. I'd be interested to hear just a little bit about what type of strikers they are. Like that, I mean, are they like Tommy, or more like the Chief? You know, what type of strikers are we looking for?
What kind of attributes do you want from potentially the two players?
I don't mind jumping on that. For me, it's having different profiles. I think in terms of that, I think if you look at it, Tommy and Naki quite similar profile-wise, both decent movement, both off the shoulder. So actually having a different profile, someone maybe a bit more physical, where I think being able to change games, so you might be able to go a little bit more direct or crosses more. A big part of the game's on space. If there's space behind the opposition, it might be we want someone that can run. If it's more dual-based and they're set off and we want to be a bit more direct and load it in the box a little bit more, then we've got that option. So I think the big part, I think, is not necessarily identifying a player, it's actually looking at the balance of the squad, so that actually in game you can change certain bits around what the game looks like. You don't necessarily have to change your style completely, but you've got different profiles where you can tweak it, whether it be a quick, powerful winger versus a small dribbler, or someone that comes inside. I think it's having those profiles where actually we can go, right, the game needs this a little bit, so we can change it to that, which was difficult at times last year because we had quite a few of the similar profiles. So got some terrific talent in the building. I think it's then adding some slightly different profiles to what we've got.
Question here.
Have you got targets in mind what would constitute a good season? Is it kind of a better position than last season, playoffs, win?
Well, yeah.
So my boss is a Coventry fan, so if you get a result this, then that'd be fantastic.
What targets would you set yourself, and what constitutes success, Liam?
For me, progress would be beating last season. So I always think it's about moving forward. So again, I think it will definitely be about beating what we did last season. I go into every season trying to finish as high as we can. I think that I'm ambitious, I'm driven, I'm hungry. I'll give every single minute of my day. I'm moving my family down in now. They're coming down actually in the next few weeks, so which will be a big thing for me in terms of integrating and settling in the area, which is equally important. And then it's about challenging every game head on. I know I'm going to get asked this question numerous times between now and the start of the season. For me, it's so far away. I think I put all my energy into the first game. I think it's going game by game and then putting all my energy into that because I can't control the end of the season. So in my head, it's beat last season, but it's finish as high as we can.
Brilliant. Well, that whole game is 45 days away. Liam, Brian, the Chief, Wayne Allison, thank you so much for joining us. Lansdown Club members, thank you so much for coming up today and getting a fascinating insight into our fixtures, our pre-season preparation, a bit on the transfer window. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much.